My name is Mabel. I am 55 years old and I live in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. After my husband passed away 8 years ago, my daughter became everything to me. I trusted her completely. I gave her a credit card for emergencies, believing she would never misuse it. On my 55th birthday, she called to cancel our dinner plans. She said she was busy. That same night, I saw her through the window of the most expensive restaurant in town. Before you hear what happened next, let me know where you are watching from today. Hit that like button and subscribe to this channel. Have you ever caught someone you love lying right in front of your eyes? My husband Thomas collapsed in our kitchen on a Tuesday morning 8 years ago. One moment he was pouring coffee talking about the garden he wanted to plant in the spring. The next moment he was on the floor, and no matter how hard I tried to wake him, he would not open his eyes. The doctors said it was a massive stroke. He was only 49 years old. I was 47. Our daughter Jenna was 19, just finishing her second year of college. The weeks after the funeral blurred together like watercolors left in the rain. I remember sitting in our bedroom surrounded by Thomas's clothes that still smelled like him, wondering how I was supposed to keep going. But then I would hear Jenna crying in her room, and I knew I had to get up. I had to be strong for her. She had lost her father. I could not let her lose her mother too. I threw myself into work. I had been a nurse at the community hospital for 15 years by then, and I started picking up extra shifts. Night shifts, weekend shifts, holiday shifts. Whatever was available, I took it. The money from Thomas's life insurance helped with the mortgage, but Jenna's college tuition was expensive. I was determined that she would finish her degree without student loans weighing her down. Thomas and I had always promised her that. Our little house in the suburbs became quieter without Thomas. 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, a small backyard where he used to grow tomatoes. Nothing fancy, but it was ours. I kept his favorite chair in the living room, the brown leather one with the worn armrests. Sometimes, I would sit in it just to feel close to him. Friends and family tried to set me up on dates over the years. Barbara, my best friend and coworker at the hospital, was especially persistent. She would tell me about single doctors, divorced neighbors, widowed men from her church, but I always said no. I was not interested in finding another husband. Jenna needed me, and honestly, I needed her too. She was my reason to keep going. Before Thomas died, Jenna and I were close, but afterward we became inseparable. She would call me every day from college sometimes, just to hear my voice. On weekends, when she could get a ride home, she would show up at the door with her laundry basket and a big smile. And we would spend 2 days cooking together, watching old movies, talking about everything and nothing. I remember one particular night during her junior year. She had come home for Thanksgiving, and we were sitting at the kitchen table long after the dishes were done. She reached across and held my hand. "Mom," she said, "I know things have been hard since Dad died, but I want you to know something. I am going to take care of you when you get older. You will never have to worry about being alone. I promise." I cried that night. Happy tears, the kind that leave you feeling lighter instead of heavier. I believed every word she said. My daughter was kind, thoughtful, responsible. She was everything Thomas and I had hoped she would be. Jenna graduated from college with a degree in marketing. She had dreams of working for a big advertising firm, creating campaigns for major brands. But the job market was tough, and after months of applications and rejections, she settled for a position as a sales associate at a clothing store downtown. It was not what she had planned, but she said it was temporary, just until something better came along. I told her not to worry. She could live at home, rent-free, while she figured things out. But Jenna wanted her independence. She found a small apartment near her job and moved out when she was 23. I helped her furnish it with secondhand furniture and kitchen supplies from my own cabinets. The day she moved in, I stood in her empty childhood bedroom and cried again. But these were different tears, bittersweet ones. 2 years after Jenna moved out, I made a decision that I thought was wise at the time. I opened a supplementary credit card on my account and gave it to her. The limit was $5,000, and I told her it was strictly for emergencies, car repairs, medical bills, unexpected expenses. Not shopping, not entertainment, not dinners out, just emergencies. Jenna hugged me and promised she would only use it when absolutely necessary. And for a long time she kept that promise. The monthly statements showed small charges here and there. $50 at a pharmacy, $80 at an auto parts store, $100 at an urgent care clinic when she had the flu. Normal things, responsible things. I never checked the detailed statements online. I trusted my daughter completely. When the bill came each month, I just looked at the total and paid it. Barbara thought I was being naive. She said young people these days had different values about money, but I dismissed her concerns. Jenna was not like other young people. She was my daughter. She would never take advantage of me. Looking back now, I can see how blind I was. I wanted so desperately to believe that Jenna was still the same girl who had held my hand at the kitchen table and promised to take care of me. I could not let myself consider the possibility that she had changed, that someone had changed her. I did not know it then, but everything was about to fall apart. And it all started when a man named Derek walked into my daughter's life. Jenna met Derek at a networking event downtown about 10 months before my 55th birthday. She called me that night, her voice bubbling with excitement in a way I had not heard in years. "Mom, I met someone," she said. "His name is Derek. He is amazing. He works in real estate investment. He drives this incredible sports car. And Mom, he is so confident. He makes me feel like anything is possible." I was happy for her at first. Jenna had dated a few men over the years, but nothing serious. She always said she was too focused on her career to settle down. So hearing her talk about someone with such enthusiasm made my heart warm. I met Derek for the first time about 2 weeks later. Jenna brought him to my house for Sunday dinner, a tradition we had maintained since Thomas died. He arrived wearing a perfectly tailored suit, even though it was just a casual family meal. His watch looked expensive. His shoes were shiny and new. He smiled a lot, showing teeth that were almost too white. "Mrs. Thompson," he said, shaking my hand with a grip that was firmer than necessary. "Jenna has told me so much about you. It is an honor to meet the woman who raised such an incredible daughter." I smiled politely, but something felt off. His words sounded rehearsed, like lines from a movie. When I asked him about his work, he gave vague answers. He talked about deals and investments and opportunities, but he never mentioned specifics. No company name, no partners, no actual projects. Just big words that sounded impressive but meant nothing. Throughout dinner, Derek dominated the conversation. He talked about expensive restaurants he had visited, luxury vacations he had taken, famous people he claimed to know. Jenna hung on every word, looking at him like he was some kind of prince. I had never seen her act that way before. After they left, I sat alone in my kitchen trying to shake off the uneasy feeling in my stomach. Maybe I was being unfair. Maybe Derek was just nervous meeting his girlfriend's mother for the first time. Maybe he was actually a successful businessman who had earned everything he bragged about. But I could not ignore the small voice in my head that whispered, something was wrong. Over the next few months, Jenna began to change. The Sunday dinners became less frequent. She would cancel at the last minute always with some excuse related to Derek. He had tickets to a concert. He was taking her to a wine tasting. He needed her help with something important. I tried not to take it personally. She was in a new relationship. It was natural for her to want to spend time with her boyfriend. But I missed her. I missed our conversations, our cooking sessions, our lazy afternoons watching television together. When I did see Jenna, she looked different. Her clothes were fancier, her makeup heavier, her nails professionally done. She talked about things I did not recognize. Designer brands, exclusive clubs, five-star hotels. She spoke as if these things had always been part of her world, even though I knew they had not. One Sunday, when she actually showed up for dinner, I asked her how she could afford all these new things. Her salary at the clothing store was modest, at best. "Oh, Derek pays for everything," she said casually. "He is so generous, Mom. He treats me like a queen." But I noticed she would not look me in the eye when she said it. A few weeks later, I received the credit card statement for the month. The total was higher than usual. Instead of a few $100s, it was $1,200. I assumed Jenna had a legitimate emergency, so I called to check on her. "Oh, my car broke down," she explained. "It needed some major repairs. And then I had to see a doctor because I was not feeling well. It all just added up." I told her I hoped she was feeling better and paid the bill without questioning further. The next month, the bill was $1,800. Jenna said she had needed new tires for her car and had to visit a specialist for some tests. She promised everything was fine, just routine health checkups. I wanted to believe her. So I did. Barbara noticed the change in me during our shifts together. "You seem worried," she said one night as we walked to our cars after work. "Is everything okay with Jenna?" I told her about the increased credit card charges and Jenna's explanations. Barbara frowned. "Have you actually looked at what she is buying?" she asked. "The detailed statements show every transaction." I shook my head. "I trust her," I said. "She would not lie to me." Barbara put her hand on my arm. "Mabel, I am not trying to upset you, but maybe you should check, just to be sure." I told her I would think about it, but when I got home that night, I could not bring myself to log into the account. I was afraid of what I might find, and as long as I did not look, I could keep believing that everything was fine. That night I sat in Thomas's old chair and looked at a photograph of Jenna from her college graduation. She was smiling in her cap and gown, holding her diploma, looking so proud and hopeful. Where had that girl gone? Who was this new person who canceled dinner plans and made excuses and never seemed to have time for her mother anymore? I fell asleep in that chair, the photograph still in my hands. In my dreams, Thomas was there. He was standing in our backyard tending to his tomato plants. He looked up at me and smiled, but his eyes were sad. "Be careful, Mabel," he said. "Something is not right." I woke up with tears on my cheeks and a heaviness in my chest that would not go away. 2 months before my birthday, Barbara finally convinced me to check the credit card statements online. We were sitting in the break room at the hospital during our lunch break, and she had brought her laptop. "Just look," she said gently. "Whatever you find, at least you will know the truth." My hands were trembling as I typed in my login information. The account loaded, showing months of statements I had never examined. I clicked on the most recent one. The charges scrolled across the screen and my stomach dropped with each line I read. Serene Day Spa, $350, Nordstrom $420, Bella Notte Restaurant $215, Sephora $180, The Capitol Grill $340. There was no auto repair shop, no pharmacy, no doctor's office, no urgent care clinic. Barbara sat beside me in silence as I scrolled through 3 months of charges. The total was staggering. $4,600 spent on luxury items, fancy restaurants, and expensive beauty treatments. I could not breathe. The break room felt too small, the walls closing in around me. "Mabel," Barbara said softly, "I am so sorry." I picked up my phone and called Jenna. She answered on the 3rd ring, her voice cheerful and unsuspecting. "Hi, Mom. What is up?" "I need to ask you something," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "I looked at the credit card statement today. Can you explain why there are charges at spas and designer stores?" There was a long pause. Then Jenna sighed, sounding annoyed. "Mom, I can explain. I needed to buy some nice clothes for work. You know how competitive retail is. I have to look professional. And the restaurants." the spa treatments. Another pause. Look, Derek and I have been networking a lot. We have to take clients out to dinner. It is part of his business. I will pay you back eventually. I felt my temper rising. You told me the card was for emergencies, Jenna. Car repairs, medical bills, not $500 dinners. Jenna's voice turned sharp. Why are you checking up on me anyway? Do you not trust me, God? Mom, you are so controlling. This is exactly why I do not come around anymore. You always have to make everything about you. The words hit me like a slap. I opened my mouth to respond, but before I could say anything, Jenna hung up. I sat there staring at my phone, unable to process what had just happened. My daughter had lied to me for months. She had used my money to fund a lifestyle I could never afford. And when I confronted her, she turned it around and blamed me. Barbara put her arm around my shoulders. She did not say anything. She just let me cry. The weeks that followed were some of the hardest of my life. Jenna barely spoke to me. When I called, she either did not answer or kept the conversations short and cold. She canceled every Sunday dinner with various excuses. Derek was busy. She was tired. Something came up. I continued to pay the credit card bills because I did not know what else to do. Cutting off the card felt too drastic, too final. I kept hoping that Jenna would apologize, that she would realize she had been wrong, that we could talk things through like we used to. But the charges kept coming. More restaurants, more stores, a weekend at a boutique hotel, concert tickets, a designer handbag. The total amount spent in the 10 months since Jenna had met Derek was approaching $8,000. That was money I had earned working night shifts and weekends, skipping vacations, putting aside pennies for retirement. And my daughter was spending it on champagne dinners and spa days with a man who claimed to be rich, but somehow never paid for anything himself. I started having trouble sleeping. I would lie awake at night, replaying conversations in my head, wondering where I had gone wrong. Had I spoiled Jenna too much after Thomas died? Had I made her think she was entitled to whatever she wanted? Or was Derek the problem? Had he somehow brainwashed her into becoming someone I did not recognize? One evening I was cleaning out a drawer in my bedroom when I found an old birthday card Jenna had given me years ago. The cover had a picture of a mother and daughter holding hands. Inside, in Jenna's careful handwriting, it said, "Mom, thank you for always being there for me. I love you more than words can say. You are my best friend." I held that card and sobbed until I had no tears left. Where was that girl? The one who wrote those words and meant them. The one who promised to take care of me. I looked at the phone on my nightstand, wishing it would ring, wishing Jenna would call and tell me everything was okay, that this had all been a misunderstanding. But the phone stayed silent. And in the quiet of my empty house, I had never felt more alone. My 55th birthday fell on a Saturday. I had not planned anything elaborate. After the tension with Jenna over the past few months, I did not feel like celebrating. But I had invited her to dinner at my house 2 weeks in advance, just the two of us. I would cook her favorite meal, the pot roast recipe my mother had passed down to me. Maybe we could use the occasion to clear the air, to start fresh. Jenna had agreed immediately. "Of course, Mom," she said on the phone. "I would not miss your birthday. I will be there at 7. For 2 weeks I held on to those words like a lifeline. Maybe things were not as bad as I thought. Maybe Jenna still cared. Maybe this dinner would be the turning point we needed. I spent all day Saturday preparing. I went to the grocery store early in the morning and bought the best cut of beef I could find. I cleaned the house from top to bottom. I set the dining table with the good china the set Thomas and I had received as a wedding gift, and only used on special occasions. Barbara stopped by in the afternoon with a bouquet of flowers and a small gift, a scented candle in my favorite fragrance. "Happy birthday," she said, hugging me. "I hope tonight goes well with Jenna." "Me too," I said. "I really think this could be a new beginning for us." Barbara smiled, but I could see the concern in her eyes. She did not say anything more. She did not want to dampen my hopes. After she left, I took a long shower and put on my nicest dress, a deep blue one that Thomas had always loved. I did my hair and even put on a little makeup. I wanted to look my best. I wanted Jenna to see that I was trying, that I was willing to move past the hurt and rebuild our relationship. By 6:30, the pot roast was in the oven, filling the house with a warm, savory aroma. The table was set for two. I had opened a bottle of wine to let it breathe. Everything was perfect. At 6:45, my phone rang. It was Jenna. "Mom," she said, and I could hear the rush in her voice. "I am so sorry, but I cannot make it tonight." My heart sank. "What?" "Why not? Derek is sick. He has been throwing up all day, and he needs me to take care of him. I cannot leave him alone like this." "But Jenna," I said, trying to keep my voice calm even though I wanted to scream. "It is my birthday. You promised. I know Mom and I feel terrible, but Derek really needs me right now. You understand, right? We can celebrate another time. Maybe next weekend." In the background, I heard something strange. It was not the sound of someone sick at home. It was music. Lively, upbeat music, the kind you would hear at a party or a restaurant. "Jenna." "Where are you?" I asked. "I am at Derek's apartment," she said quickly. "Look, I have to go. Happy birthday, Mom. I love you." She hung up before I could respond. I stood in my kitchen, still holding the phone, staring at the table set for two. The pot roast was almost done. The wine was breathing. The candles were ready to be lit. And my daughter was not coming. I do not know how long I stood there. It might have been 5 minutes or 30. I felt numb, like someone had reached into my chest and removed something vital. A knock at the door startled me out of my trance. It was Helen, my neighbor, an elderly widow who lived alone next door. She was holding a small, wrapped gift. "Happy birthday, Mabel," she said with a warm smile. "I baked you some cookies." Her kindness broke something inside me. Tears started rolling down my face before I could stop them. Helen's expression changed to concern. "Oh dear, what is wrong? Where is Jenna?" I told her what had happened. Helen listened, shaking her head slowly. "That is not right," she said. "No one should be alone on their birthday. Why don't you come with me? We will go out and get a nice dinner somewhere. My treat." I tried to refuse, but Helen insisted. She was a stubborn woman, and when she made up her mind about something, there was no arguing with her. So I turned off the oven, put on my coat, and got into her car. Helen drove us toward downtown, chatting about her grandchildren and her garden, trying to distract me from my sadness. I appreciated her effort, even though my heart was not in the conversation. As we passed through the restaurant district, I looked out the window at all the fancy establishments with their glowing signs and well-dressed patrons. And then Helen stopped at a red light, and I saw it. Le Petit Chateau, the most expensive French restaurant in Pittsburgh. I had heard of it but had never been inside. A single meal there could cost more than my weekly grocery budget. Through the large front window, I could see tables of elegant diners, chandeliers, glittering overhead servers in black vests carrying trays of food and wine. And at one of the best tables right by the window, I saw Jenna. She was sitting with Derek and 4 other people I did not recognize. The table was covered with plates of food, bottles of champagne glasses being raised in toasts. Jenna was laughing, her head thrown back, looking happier than I had seen her in months. She was not taking care of a sick boyfriend. She was at a party, a lavish, expensive party, and she had lied to my face to avoid spending my birthday with me. Helen noticed me staring. "Is that your daughter?" she asked quietly. I could not speak. I just nodded. For a moment I considered storming into the restaurant and confronting her in front of everyone. But something stopped me. Maybe it was pride. Maybe it was the realization that causing a scene would not change anything. Or maybe it was the cold, clear understanding that this was not about one dinner. This was about months of lies, thousands of dollars, and a daughter who had chosen a man over her own mother. I took out my phone. My hands were steady now, steadier than they had been in weeks. I opened the banking app and navigated to the credit card settings. "Are you okay?" Helen asked. "I am about to be," I said. I found the option to freeze the card. One tap, and it was done. The supplementary card in Jenna's wallet was now useless. If she tried to pay for that expensive dinner with it, it would be declined. I put my phone away and looked back at the restaurant. Jenna was still laughing, still celebrating, completely unaware of what I had just done. "Let us go somewhere else," I said to Helen. "I have seen enough." As Helen drove away, I did not feel the satisfaction I had expected. I did not feel vindicated or triumphant. I just felt empty. The woman in that restaurant, the one drinking champagne and ignoring her mother's birthday, was a stranger wearing my daughter's face. But I had finally stopped letting her hurt me. And that was something. The phone started ringing at 11:15 that night. I was lying in bed, not sleeping, just staring at the ceiling and thinking about everything that had happened. When I saw Jenna's name on the screen, I let it ring. 1 call, 2 calls, 3 calls, 4 calls, 5 calls. On the 6th call, I picked up. "What did you do?" Jenna screamed into the phone. The card was declined. I tried to pay the bill, and it said the card was frozen. Do you have any idea how embarrassing that was? Derek had to pay for everything. He is furious. I let her finish yelling before I spoke. "You told me Derek was sick," I said calmly. "You said you needed to take care of him and could not come to my birthday dinner." "But I saw you, Jenna. I drove past Le Petit Chateau tonight. I saw you in the window, drinking champagne with Derek and his friends, having the time of your life, while I sat at home alone on my 55th birthday." There was a long silence on the other end of the line. "Mom?" "I can explain." Jenna started. "Can you?" I interrupted. "Can you explain why you have been lying to me for months? Car repairs that never happened. Doctor visits that were actually spa treatments. Emergencies that were really designer handbags. I saw all of it, Jenna. Every charge on that card." Jenna started to cry. "You do not understand, Mom. Derek has certain expectations. His friends are all wealthy and I have to fit in. If I showed up looking cheap, he would be humiliated. I did it for our relationship." "You did it with my money," I said. "Money I earned working double shifts at the hospital, money I was saving for my retirement, and you lied to me about all of it." "I will pay you back." Jenna sobbed. "I promise. Just unfreeze the card, please, Mom." "No." The word came out firm and final. "The card is staying frozen. And I think we need to have a serious conversation about what has happened to you, Jenna, because the daughter I raised would never treat her mother this way." Jenna's crying turned angry. "You are ruining everything. Derek is so mad at me right now. His friends saw what happened. They probably think I am some kind of loser who cannot even pay a restaurant bill. This is all your fault." She hung up before I could respond. I lay back down on my bed, my heart pounding, but my mind strangely clear. For the first time in months, I had stood up for myself. I had stopped being a doormat. And even though it hurt, even though every part of me wanted to call Jenna back and apologize and unfreeze the card just to make the conflict go away, I knew I had done the right thing. The next morning, I received a text from a number I did not recognize. When I opened it, I realized it was from Derek. "Hello, Mrs. Thompson. I think there has been a misunderstanding. Jenna is very upset, and I believe freezing her credit card was an overreaction. She has been under a lot of stress lately, and she relies on that card for her daily expenses. I am sure we can work this out like reasonable adults. Perhaps you could reconsider your decision. I am happy to discuss this over lunch if you would like." I read the message twice, my blood pressure rising with each word. The audacity of this man. He had been spending my money for almost a year, letting my daughter lie to me, encouraging her to abandon her family, and now he was trying to manipulate me into restoring his access to my credit line. I typed a response carefully. Derek, this is between me and my daughter. But since you asked, let me be clear. What is your actual job? I have asked Jenna, and she has never given me a straight answer. If you are such a successful businessman, why has my daughter been paying for your dinners and entertainment for the past 10 months? The reply came quickly. Mrs. Thompson, I do not appreciate your tone. I am a professional with a very successful career in real estate investment. Jenna helps out occasionally because we are a team. That is what couples do. I think you are being very unfair to both of us. I almost laughed. Professional, successful. The words were meaningless coming from someone who had never once offered to pay for anything with his own money. I typed one final message. I am not interested in continuing this conversation. Please do not contact me again. Then I blocked his number. For the next few hours, my phone was quiet. I went about my day doing laundry, cleaning the kitchen, trying to stay busy so I would not think too much. Barbara called to check on me, and I told her everything. She was proud of me for standing my ground. In the afternoon, Jenna called again. I answered this time, curious to see if she had calmed down. Mom, she said, her voice small and defeated. Derek is talking about breaking up with me. He says I embarrassed him in front of his friends. He says if I cannot contribute to our lifestyle, then maybe we are not compatible. I did not respond right away. Part of me wanted to say good riddance, but I knew that would not help. Jenna, I said gently, if Derek loves you, he would not care about credit cards and restaurant bills. He would care about you as a person. You do not understand, she said. His world is different. These people have standards. These people are not your family, I replied. I am your family, and I have been here waiting for you while you canceled dinners and made excuses and spent my money trying to impress strangers. Jenna was quiet for a long time. Then she said I have to go and hung up. I set down the phone and looked around my empty living room. Thomas's chair sat in the corner unchanged after all these years. The photograph of our family still hung on the wall, 3 people smiling in happier times. I had done everything I could. The rest was up to Jenna. 3 weeks passed without a word from my daughter. No calls, no texts, not even a like on the occasional photo I posted on social media. It was as if I had ceased to exist in her world. At first, the silence was agonizing. I would pick up my phone a dozen times a day, checking for messages that never came. I would drive past Jenna's apartment building on my way to work, just to see if her car was there. I would lie awake at night wondering if I had been too harsh, if I should have handled things differently. But as the days turned into weeks, something shifted inside me. The constant anxiety began to fade, replaced by a strange sense of peace. I had spent so many months worrying about Jenna, trying to please her, excusing her behavior, ignoring the red flags. Now that I had finally taken a stand, I realized how exhausting all of that had been. Barbara noticed the change in me. You seem different, she said one evening as we walked to our cars after our shift. Lighter somehow. I have stopped carrying the weight, I told her. I did what I could. Now I have to let Jenna figure out her own life. Barbara squeezed my hand. That is the healthiest thing I have heard you say in a long time. I started focusing on myself in ways I had neglected for years. I joined a morning walking group with some other women from my neighborhood. We would meet at 6:30, walk for an hour around the park, and chat about our lives. Most of them were around my age, dealing with their own challenges. Retired teachers, widows, empty nesters. We supported each other, celebrated small victories, shared advice without judgment. I called my brother Marcus in Cleveland, something I had not done in months. He was 3 years older than me, a quiet man who had always been protective of his little sister. When I told him about Jenna and Derek and everything that had happened, he listened without interrupting. You did the right thing, he said when I finished. I know it does not feel like it right now, but sometimes People need to hit bottom before they can start climbing back up. Jenna will come around. And if she does not, at least you will know you did not enable her bad choices." His words stayed with me for days. I also started writing in a journal something a therapist had suggested years ago that I had never tried. Every night before bed, I would sit at the kitchen table and write about my day, my feelings, my memories. Sometimes I wrote about Thomas, about the life we had built together and the dreams we had shared. Sometimes I wrote about Jenna as a child, the sweet girl who used to climb into my lap and ask me to read her stories. Sometimes I just wrote about the anger and hurt and confusion I felt about everything that had happened. The journal became a kind of therapy. Putting my feelings into words helped me process them in a way that just thinking about them never could. Then one night, at almost 1 a.m, my phone rang. I fumbled for it in the darkness, expecting a wrong number or a work emergency. It was Jenna. "Mom," she said, and her voice was different. Raw, broken, barely above a whisper. "Can I come home?" I sat up in bed, suddenly wide awake. What happened? The story came out in fragments between sobs. Derek had left her. After the credit card incident, things had gotten progressively worse between them. He criticized everything she did. He blamed her for his financial problems, for embarrassing him in front of his friends, for not being good enough. A week ago, he told her that she was no longer worth his time and moved on to someone else, someone with her own money. That was not all. In the 10 months they had been together, Derek had borrowed several $1,000s from Jenna. Money she had taken from her own savings, from advances on her paychecks, from anywhere she could find it. He had promised to pay her back when his investments came through. But the investments never materialized. He had been lying to her the whole time, just like she had been lying to me. And now the rent on her apartment was due, and she did not have enough to pay it. The landlord had given her until the end of the week to come up with the money, or she would be evicted. I sat there listening, my heart breaking for the second time in a month. But this time it was not breaking because of what Jenna had done to me. It was breaking for her. For the daughter who had lost herself trying to be someone she was not. For the young woman who had been manipulated by a con man who only saw her as a means to an end. "Come home," I said. "We will figure this out." She arrived the next evening with 2 suitcases and a look of defeat I had never seen on her face before. She had lost weight. There were dark circles under her eyes. She looked like she had not slept in days. I did not lecture her. I did not say "I told you so." I just helped her carry her bags inside and showed her to her old room, which I had kept mostly unchanged since she moved out. "We will talk tomorrow," I told her. "Tonight, you rest." She nodded, too exhausted to argue. As she turned to go to her room, she paused at the doorway. "Mom," she said quietly, "I am sorry. For everything. I know I said. We will get through this." She went to bed, and I stood in the hallway for a long moment looking at the closed door of her room. My daughter was home. She was broken, humiliated, and lost. But she was home. And maybe that was where the healing could begin. The first few weeks after Jenna moved back home were difficult. She was grieving the loss of Derek even though he had treated her terribly. She was ashamed of how she had behaved toward me. She was anxious about her finances and her future. Most days she barely left her room except to eat and use the bathroom. I gave her space. I did not push her to talk before she was ready. I made sure there was food in the refrigerator and clean towels in the bathroom. I went to work, came home and checked on her without being intrusive. Slowly, very slowly, she started to emerge. One Sunday morning, about 3 weeks after she moved back, I came downstairs to find Jenna in the kitchen. She was standing at the stove making pancakes. It was the first time I had seen her cook anything since she arrived. "I thought we could have breakfast together," she said, not quite meeting my eyes, "like we used to." I sat down at the kitchen table and Jenna served us both a stack of pancakes with butter and syrup. We ate in silence for a while. Then she put down her fork and looked at me. "I need to tell you how sorry I am," she said. "Not just a quick apology, a real one. What I did to you was unforgivable." I listened as she poured out everything. How Derek had made her feel special at first, how he convinced her that she needed to live a certain lifestyle to be worthy of him. How she started using the credit card for small things, then bigger things, telling herself she would pay it back eventually. How she justified the lies by convincing herself that I would not understand, that I was old-fashioned, that the rules did not apply to her relationship. "I was so desperate to belong to his world," she said, tears streaming down her face. "I lost myself completely. I forgot who I was and where I came from. I forgot that the most important relationship in my life was not with some guy I had known for a few months. It was with you." She reached across the table and took my hand. "You have given me everything, Mom. After Dad died, you sacrificed so much for me. And I repaid you by lying and stealing and abandoning you. I do not even know how to begin to make that right." I squeezed her hand. "You start by being honest," I said. "And by showing me through your actions, not just your words." Jenna nodded, wiping her eyes. "I will. I promise." Over the next several months, she kept that promise. She found a new job as an administrative assistant at a real estate office. It was not glamorous, but it paid well, and she was good at it. She enrolled in a free financial management course at the community center, learning how to budget and save and plan for the future. Most importantly, she started paying me back for the money she had charged on the credit card, not all at once, but a little bit each month. She set up an automatic transfer from her checking account to mine, and every time I saw the deposit notification, I felt a small spark of pride. She also started rebuilding our relationship. Every Sunday without fail, she would be at my house for dinner. We would cook together, watch movies together, talk about our weeks. She asked about my walking group friends, remembered their names, wanted to know about their lives. She showed genuine interest in me as a person, not just as a source of support. One evening, about 6 months after she moved back, we were sitting on the porch watching the sunset. The sky was painted in shades of orange and pink, and the air was warm with the first hints of summer. "Jenna," I said, "there is something I want you to know. I forgave you a long time ago. Even when I was angry and hurt, I never stopped loving you." She looked at me, her eyes glistening. "I know, Mom. That is what makes this so hard. You loved me through all of it, and I was too blind to see." We sat in comfortable silence for a while, watching the colors shift and fade. "Trust takes longer to rebuild than forgiveness," I said eventually. "But we are getting there. You are showing me every day that you have changed." Jenna nodded. "I have," she said. "Derek taught me the hardest lesson of my life. But losing him was the best thing that ever happened to me, because it brought me back to you." My 56th birthday arrived on another Saturday, exactly 1 year after the disaster at Le Petit Chateau. I woke up expecting an ordinary day, maybe dinner with Jenna and perhaps Barbara if she was available. But when I came downstairs, I found the living room transformed. Streamers hung from the ceiling, balloons clustered in the corners, a banner stretched across the wall. "Happy birthday, Mom." Jenna stood in the middle of it all, grinning from ear to ear. She was not alone. Barbara was there, and Helen from next door, and 3 women from my walking group. They were all holding plates of food and glasses of lemonade ready to celebrate. "Surprise?" Jenna called out. "I know it is not fancy, but I wanted to do something special, to show you how much you mean to me." I stood in the doorway, overwhelmed by emotion. This was not a champagne dinner at a 5-star restaurant. This was better. This was love, real and simple and true. The party lasted all afternoon. We ate homemade food and played silly games and laughed until our sides hurt. Jenna had baked a cake herself, slightly lopsided, but delicious. On the last page of a photo album she had made for me, she had written, "Thank you for not giving up on me. I will spend the rest of my life being worthy of your love." That night, after everyone had gone home and Jenna had helped me clean up, we sat in the kitchen one more time. "Last year on your birthday, I was sitting in that restaurant," she said quietly. "I was drinking champagne and laughing at stupid jokes, and I had no idea that I was throwing away the most important thing in my life." She looked at me, her expression serious. "I will never miss another one of your birthdays, Mom. I will never make you feel like you come second to anyone. I know I cannot change the past, but I can make sure the future is different." I believed her. Not just because of her words, but because of everything she had done in the year since that awful night. She had worked hard, apologized sincerely, and shown up consistently. She had earned back my trust, one day at a time. I reached across the table and held her hand just like she had held mine all those years ago when she promised to take care of me. "You are already making the future different," I said, "and that is all I have ever wanted." Looking back on everything that happened, I have learned something important. Love does not mean accepting bad behavior. It does not mean letting people walk all over you just because they are family. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is set a boundary and stick to it. Freezing that credit card was the hardest decision I ever made. In the moment, it felt like I was destroying my relationship with my daughter forever. But it turned out to be the wake-up call she needed. And it was the moment I finally chose to value myself. If you are going through something similar, if someone you love is taking advantage of your kindness and generosity, I want you to know that you have the right to say no. You have the right to protect yourself. And sometimes saying no is exactly what they need to hear. Jenna and I are in a better place now than we have been in years. Our relationship is not perfect. We still have difficult conversations sometimes, but we face them honestly with love and respect. And that is more than enough. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever had to set a difficult boundary with someone you love? How did you find the courage to stand up for yourself? Share your story in the comments below. Your experience might help someone else who is going through the same thing. If this story touched you, please give it a like. And if you have not already, make sure to subscribe to this channel so you do not miss any of our future stories. Hit that notification bell so you will know right away when we post something new. And please share this video with someone who might need to hear it. You never know whose life you could impact by passing along these words. Thank you so much for watching and for being part of this community. I wish you strength, wisdom, and the courage to love yourself as much as you love the people in your life. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you in the next one.